This one, man, we want to talk about submissions. We want to talk about sprawls. We want to talk about, dudes getting after it and all that. We're going to be talking about Nikita Krylov facing off against Magomed Ankalaev, man. And this one is really tough for me because I'm very high on Magomed Ankalaev. And I believe that you remember this, AJ. You remember not just the first fight against Jan Kutalaba, but the second one when I believe you picked Kutalaba on that one, but I knew Ankalaev had too much for him. But this is a much different striking contest that we have on our hands, or just a contest in general that we have on our hands. So give me some thoughts. When you first read this, were you familiar with Nikita Krylov and all that stuff?
Not as familiar because he's been out of the mix up a little bit. I do know about Nikita Krylov because he's been in the game for a long time, 27-7. He just hasn't really stuck to the media. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if it's just the nationality or what, and the name, and not really finishing all his fights, but I definitely Ankalaev has a little bit higher of a pull to me. And I'm big on Ankalaev because of his last fight against Kutalaba. He put it to him, man. He showed that he can handle some pressure. He has a hell of a chin, and things go his way when he's calm. And that's one of the biggest aspects of a fighter you want to see, man. When he can sit back and read what's going on, he looked very intelligent and was able to drop that stiff left hand. What do you think?
Well, listen, man, when I saw the name Nikita Krylov, something didn't register to me. You know what I mean? I was thinking, and I was like, I'm big on Ankalaev. Who is this dude he's fighting? And then I realized, I was like, oh, my God, that's Nikita Krylov. That's the dude who has finished 26 out of his 27 wins. That's the dude who's only seen the third round 3 times in his 34 MMA fights, man. This dude is a fast starter. It doesn't matter who you are. He's coming out. He's throwing kicks at you. He's throwing big shots. He's looking for sprawls. He's looking to, heel hook you up. He's looking to grab an arm. He's looking to tear you apart, whether it's on the feet or on the hands. This dude is an absolute finisher, man. And I'm going to tell you one thing that's a very stark contrast, AJ, between Nikita Krylov, who's ranked number 8 at 205, as opposed to Magomed Ankalaev, who's ranked number 11 at 205, is this, man. So while Nikita Krylov, he has only 1 knockout in his last 5 in comparing to the 4 knockouts that Ankalaev has in his last 5. But the Nikita Krylov, he was in the UFC for a nice run. Then he just went to a different regional promotion, won a title out there, and said, all right, I'll come back to the UFC, and I'll go right back on a nice run. But here's the thing, man. This dude's striking and his kicks are so much that you don't see this at 205, man. This dude walks you down. He does not care who you are. Now let's talk about the last 5, right? He has a unanimous decision win over Johnny Walker. Impressive. He lost to Glover Teixeira. That's a hiccup. That's tough, but that's Glover. Excuses for that. Ovin St. Preux, 2nd round submission. Very, very impressive. Jan Blachowicz, man, the current 205 champ. It was a very, very good run, but Jan Blachowicz, man, that dude's BJJ. He's just next level. He's the champ for a reason, right? So took the loss, and then he knocked out and won the belt against a dude named Maldonado. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that the competition outside of that last name has been incredibly high, as opposed to Magomed Ankalaev, while he has a big win over Klidson Abreu. Did you watch that fight? Have you seen that fight?
The Klidson Abreu, I didn't watch that one.
So let me tell you, Klidson Abreu, this was the big test, right? Because Nikita Krylov, he's the big submission guy. Klidson Abreu, he's the big submission guy. At the time that they fought, he had finished 10 of the 14 fights that he had won by submission. He's coming out of Brazil, all that good stuff. Well, what does Ankalaev do? He times him in the first round, hits him with like a little hook uppercut, breaks Klidson Abreu's nose. In the first round, Abreu is in survival mode from there, man. We never got to see the BJJ. We never got to see the tenacity that he could bring because dude was in straight up panic survival mode. Dude's nose was crooked, bro. Oh, it was terrible. But nonetheless, Ankalaev hasn't really been tested, not in his last 5, man, in terms of someone taking him on the ground and really looking for these sprawls and things of that nature. But he's got 2 knockout wins over Ian Kutalaba. He has a knockout win over Dalcha Lungiambula, which is, talk about a puncher right there, right? And then, like I said, he couldn't finish Klidson Abreu. He couldn't finish him. That was the big point to me. So when you got a dude who can clinch you up, who can hold you, who can strategically put you in a spot to where you can't get that big counter-striking off, because that's what Ankalaev is. He's a big counter-striker. Well, then I'm going to tell you what. Nikita Krylov, man, coming in as an underdog, we all about to learn. I think he was a plus 280 underdog, man. So first and foremost, man, let me ask you, give me the argument for why Ankalaev wins this fight as opposed to Nikita Krylov.
Oh, man, I think just the argument that most people think is just Ankalaev has too much going for him. He's riding a high. He looked very impressive twice against Kutalaba. And just more so, it's a business of what have you done for me recently. Now, I personally think that the main difference between Ankalaev and Krylov is Ankalaev's power. Yep. He can hurt you real bad. He can hurt you real bad with one shot, whereas Krylov can pick you apart, has multiple things in the gas or in the back that he can actually pull from, and he can still hurt you. Don't get me wrong. He can still knock you out, but I think the difference is the type of power that Ankalaev has, man. They're both big. They're both standing at 6'3", but if Krylov is able to get this fight messy and then Ankalaev can capitalize on it, that's where Ankalaev, I think, is able to use that calmness, use that poise that he shows to actually see an opportunity and then capitalize on it. But if Krylov just keeps it messy and doesn't actually make a mistake, man, I think it's going to be a long 15 minutes. And personally, for me, I'll give you my pick now. I'm going Ankalaev KO round 1 because I think it's going to be fast. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think Ankalaev is going to hurt him early.
I think that would probably be his best chance at victory, in all honesty. No disrespect. Like I said, I'm super high on Ankalaev, man, and I love that the path that he's on right now. He's currently on a 5-fight win streak, dude. It's 5-0 in his last 5. You know, I would love to see him take that next step, but this is a killer. This is a straight-up killer. Like, this is the biggest test to date. So that's why I have to be hesitant. I have to think twice, and I have to think to myself, okay, Nikita Krylov, he's higher in the rankings. He's got more finishes. He's got more impressive finishes, but he's still the underdog somehow, some way. And I'm trying to make sense of that, and I can't. And I just think that the 15 submissions that Nikita Krylov has, the BJJ skill that he has shown, it's like, so you know these Russian cats, or I believe Nikita Krylov, he might be like, I don't know.
Ukrainian, but it's still same.
Basically, right? You're right next to Russia. So this Ukrainian cat in Russia, in the Eastern European places, man, you know you can go to college to get Master of Sports. So he's a master of sport. This dude is a Kyokushin karate striker with legit sprawls and legit BJJ. So if you know anything about Kyokushin karate, that means that this dude has great movement and distance control, man. In and out, in and out, in and out. Except he's a big 205er who could spam you with the kicks, with the big punches. He can grab you. He can sprawl. My biggest thing, and this is the reason why I'll give you my pick here too, I think Nikita Krylov wins this fight by decision. This is only going to be the second decision win of his entire career if he gets it done. But the reason why is because Ankalaev is tough, dude. Ankalaev is tested. His chin is tested. So is Nikita Krylov's. But these dudes are battle tested. And I think Nikita Krylov is going to be able to mix it up in those sprawls to take away the big striking of Ankalaev, man. Ankalaev has an 85% takedown defense, right? Very, very impressive. But guess what, man? Only one person is taking him down. You know who that is? That's Paul Craig. So it can be done. If you're a BJJ guy, it can be done clearly. And the only other BJJ guy that Ankalaev has fought so far was Klitson Abreu, who, like I said, first round, nose broken, survival mode. So nonetheless, yeah, like I said, I'm going to Nikita Krylov. I'm going to decision win, man. And I think it'll be huge. These dudes are literally the same year, 28 years old, 6'3", 77.5-inch reach for Krylov, and a 75-inch reach for Magomed Ankalaev. So nonetheless, man, this will be a good one. But let's just take this last point into experience before moving to the main event. Nikita Krylov is 27-7 in MMA, 8-5 in the UFC. Ankalaev is 14-1 in MMA and 5-1 in the UFC. So if we're talking about experience, Krylov clearly has the experience factor, and that's got to count for something. I'm not going to tell the folks at home. I ain't going to tell you what that counts for. You can make that decision for yourself. But nonetheless, we have to take these things into consideration. But when we're looking at the nature of the fight game, which is more or less just a flip of a coin, right? 50-50, you know what I mean? Anything can happen, as we saw last week, right? This sets this up to be a great co-main event, man. We're really lucky to get these two banging ass cards back to back, man. So